Welcome to the Big Biz Show.
Taking care of business.
You want fast-talking, hard-hitting discussions on business and finance? Maybe with a barroom slant and some really salty peanuts? We're not counting calories. We're counting cash. Before we get to the man with the financial plan, meet the money team. Costa, Mary, now Captain Finance himself, Sully.
Wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, we welcome you to another edition of The Big Biz Show. We're inside the Loftrun Hunter Studios in sunny Southern California. And as we like to say around these here parts,
a big old howdy to you.
God bless the day trader trio, always on point. Back here at the bar, it's Costa.
When I started the show 30 years ago,
it's Mary Burt Godwin, and of course Sully.
I don't recall ever saying that until you showed up, but, which was suspiciously too soon after Russ passed.
Oh my God!
Oh, hi Mike, what's up? Oh yeah, I thought you were giving your condolences. Oh, you're asking for a job.
God bless you, Russ. God bless you.
Hey, Mary was asking before we started the show, what is this thing about this AI market bubble? I know that your daughter dressed you down.
Yeah, because
it's been out 6 months ago.
I just got.
But what are you referring to specifically?
I don't know because I didn't have the sound on, but I was looking at Reels and Instagram, and this man that I follow was like this AI bubble, and he's doing something with water pouring in it, and was going to talk about it. And then I mentioned that, and someone said this has been going on for 6 months. So I don't know what's happening.
I think if you recall, in 1996.
Yep.
When we were seeing the .com, everybody, it was .com this, .com that, and I remember actually the radio station also was AM 1130 KSDO.com. It wasn't they didn't even have internet on the radio back then. They just called it that because they wanted to use the word .com.
Mm-hmm.
And we had Netscape back then. We had who was Sean Fanning famous for the Napster.
Oh my God.
We had MySpace back then.
Uh-huh.
And we had America Online.
Oh yeah.
Not AOL. We had Prodigy. And we had Judge Thomas Penfield Jackson, who judged an antitrust case against Microsoft, which burst the .com bubble, which caused Internet 2.0, which caused Facebook and everything else that's come along with it, including I think there's an ugly stage in every business, look at your teenagers. Look at my, there's always an ugly stage, and I think AI is going in the ugly stage. Here to talk a little bit about that is Howie Font, because, we've got a market that has gone through an ugly stage, kind of the same way as AI is. I'm not surprised. We don't know what we don't know about AI, and it's come on awfully fast, and suddenly we're all, hopping on board to ChatGPT and Perplexity and so on and so forth as if we're experts. It's just like when every ad agency in the country called themselves a digital marketing agency when there wasn't anything called digital marketing yet. I want to compare what's happening in AI, because there is a bubble, because bubbles tend to form when you got a powerful will to go one way, a powerful narrative to go one way or the other. Talk about this market, because we've had strong earnings, but we've got volatility, and I'm going to say we had volatility based upon the government shutdown. I think the government had a lot to do. The outside forces had a lot to do with this volatility. How we talk about the market bubble that we may be experiencing here?
Yeah, so it's interesting. The market was really waiting to react to NVIDIA's earnings that came out last night, and it's basically in lockstep with this one company that is a driving force in the market, but is not the entire economy. And I've said it many times on the show, but the market's earnings have come from the AI-based companies. I think something like 70-80% of the gains are from just AI-based companies this year. So the rest of the economy is not really supporting that growth. That's why it's called a bubble. We don't know if it's overly valuing these companies or not. And we're getting to the point where it's just so big, and eventually if you blow up a balloon or a bubble enough, what happens?
Why NVIDIA and not Intel? I mean, look, it's literally the same kind of graphic, GPUs, software, chips. It's not, it's really graphic heavy tasks is what NVIDIA was originally known for. Why NVIDIA not? Why are we following NVIDIA versus Intel or any other chip maker?
Yeah. NVIDIA has the widget that enables the AI economy. Nobody else has a really competing product yet. I mean, there are companies like AMD, obviously Intel is trying to catch up, but the same kind of chips that are good for really fancy video game graphics also happen to be very good at processing these large language models that are the backbone of the AI race that's happening. And so they happened to be in a spot where all of a sudden there was a 1,000,000x demand for their product. And when that happens, you know, if there's only so much supply, if there's one supplier and they can only make so many, then prices are just going to skyrocket, orders are going to skyrocket, and that's why you see every day, you know, X AI company is partnering with Y AI company to buy $300 billion of NVIDIA chips. I mean, something like that.
What's interesting is a bubble happens when something is overpriced for its fundamental value. In other words, and that's the same thing that happens in the stocks. You know, when I look at stock, and I'm pretty good at picking stock because I look at three things. I look at the news, I look at the fundamentals, I look at who's in the lunchroom, who's running the company, and then I also look at what's called technical analysis. And there's three technical indicators I look at. I look at what's called a moving average, and the short-term moving average, the long-term moving average. The trend is your friend. If it seems to go up, it's probably going to go up. You can't time the top or the bottom. You just got to kind of know. The other one is a relative strength indicator. But one of the most interesting technical indicators in a stock, and this is all about predictive technology that's based on the Elliott Wave principle a long time ago that says that we're fish in a barrel. We're going to go what the next guy goes with. Like if you buy a stock at 100 and it goes down to 80 and it goes back to 100, we're probably going to sell it because we dodged a bullet, right? So that predictive technology kind of tells you what a stochastic oscillator does. A stochastic oscillator will tell you if something's overbought and oversold. So let's say you have a loaf of bread, it costs $1. The bridge that brings the flour over to your town blows up. Now there's no flour. Bread price goes up because there's a lack of bread. Okay, that's overbought, right? It's not going to stay there, and it's going to return to the mean eventually. Stocks always return to the mean, Howie. I mean, obviously there's a hockey stick that goes up. We wouldn't be at 40,000 or whatever we're at right now in the Dow. You know, we'd be like the Bolsa and we had negative 13,000 or whatever. But if we're overbought, what is a fair market value, and how far, you know, how much pain do you go through to get there? I guess is probably the big question.
Well, we'd be much richer if we knew exactly when that was going to happen. But the question is, how are we halfway done with the AI bubble expanding? Are we 70% done? I mean, one of the reasons why NVIDIA's earnings was so important was because that is the feeder for all of the rest of the AI technology. So when they report their sales, that's going to be an indication of, you know, has the bridge blown up yet? Our bread price is going to rise. And when do they rebuild the bridge? You know, if we see NVIDIA having demand collapse for their product and people say, enough, I have as many chips as I need, then that's the bridge being rebuilt and bread prices coming back to normal.
Howie,
that's what we're kind of waiting on.
Howie, this is the bubble you're talking about, though. It's not because of a sudden glut of brand new AI companies on the market. It seems to me, though, that each day, you know, you see a new AI company that's starting to emerge on the horizon.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many use cases. We don't know what the limits of the LLM models are going to be. So the big one for the major hyperscalers, they're called the Microsofts, the Facebooks, Googles, is can I capture Google's current income stream and replace the 10 blue links that Google has that they make $300 billion a quarter off of with AI search? And can I take that business from Google?
What Howie's trying to say is put all your money in NVIDIA.
Apparently, Howie Font is our market analyst. Joins us every episode.
Thanks, buddy.
Loft 100 Studios, The Big Biz Show, and our affiliates and our hosts are not registered investment advisors or broker-dealers.
Our show hosts make no commitment that the purchase of securities of companies profiled or otherwise mentioned in our programming
are suitable or advisable for any person, or that an investment in such securities will be profitable in general.
Given the nature of the company's profile and the lack of an active trading market for the securities, investing is highly speculative and carries a certain high degree of risk.
We profile selected publicly traded and privately held companies on our program.
Most of these companies that we profile have provided compensation to Loft 100 Studios and its hosts for the profile coverage.
From time to time, we sell shares of the company's profile profiled in the open market that we receive as compensation for coverage of client companies.
But never sell stocks if we are speaking about interviewing or covering a public company who has paid compensation.
Specific questions on compensation can be obtained by contacting producer at sullyentgroup.com.
Listeners should verify all claims and do their own due diligence before investing in any securities mentioned on this program.
Investing in securities is speculative and carries a high degree of risk.
We encourage our investors to invest carefully and read the investor information available at the websites on the
Securities and Exchange Commission at sec.gov and or the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, at www.finra.org. All right.
I like it.
Hey, is that a rescue plane?
Big Biz Show continues live from the Loft 100 studios here in sunny Southern California. Wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, we certainly appreciate you being along for this crazy ride. Speaking of crazy, they're crazy good. Day Trader Trio.
That was a good one.
1/3. Yeah. I get paid for this. That's why I come
you're
up
like a
with the great
professional or something.
1/3 of the band Sullivan, recently in St. Louis and Nashville, as their historic world tour continues. World domination, James. World domination. Right there. Back here at the bar, it is Costa and Marybert Godwin. It is another none your business. Sully.
None your business.
Yeah.
It is, but
you know, I've said so many times that he had to go to the eye doctor because his eye fell up, and I have to come up with a different excuse. But he's not here. He will be back here tomorrow. But we are so excited to have James McCormick and Greg Smitherman and Lauren O'Brien from Cloudastructure with us here in studio today. Their ticker symbol is CSAI. We have had them all together on the air before. And as I tell everybody when we get to meet you in person, it's great to see that you're actually full torsoed people. You're not just cut off at the waist. You're not just robots. Thanks for making the time to come in.
Thanks for inviting us.
Absolutely. James, before we talk about the newest and the latest and the greatest with Cloudastructure, if you can, because our audience changes all the time. We get new eyes and we get new ears, and it may seem redundant to us, but to them they're like, oh wow, hey, tell me about this company.
Yeah.
Give us a nickel version overview of Cloudastructure.
Absolutely. So we're a video surveillance company using artificial intelligence, mainly targeted at enterprise customers. Think multifamily properties, right? Apartment complexes, commercial buildings, construction sites, those sorts of things.
Sure.
And our differentiation from other types of reactive security systems is we literally monitor all the activity going on with the cameras we have installed at our customer sites. 8 million video images are processed a day.
Wow.
Right? They go up into the cloud, down into our AI servers, right, at our 2 data centers at the moment, where they're analyzed. And when something is identified as a potential threatening activity, it actually goes to humans in the loop. We have a remote guard center. It goes there. They can actually look at the image. If it is indeed determined that something is wrong, they can talk down to the perpetrators, and 98% of the time, the problem stops before it even starts.
So they're not trying to have their eyes on a whole video wall of all these 8 million places.
No.
AI is doing that for them, and then they're getting alerted if something is out of the norm.
Absolutely.
Hone in on it.
Absolutely.
And then I love the part where they can use their voice to yell at them.
Absolutely.
Essentially. And scare them, right?
Or be nice to them.
Or be nice. That's true.
Right.
It's true.
You in the blue hoodie.
Right,
exactly. And that would freak somebody out, right?
Yeah.
Because it's clearly not pre-recorded, right? It's a live person noting what they're doing, but it's also, yes, sometimes it's you in the blue hoodie, or it's, do you need some help?
Yeah. I love that.
Right.
Yes.
Or there was a video recently of an Amazon guy trying to deliver a package, and he was just going to leave it outside where it was clearly going to get it stolen in half a second, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, make sure you call somebody, and you can't leave it there.
Right.
And he finally got it done, and someone came up and got the package. So it's a much broader service than just chasing folks away, although certainly do chase the bad guys.
James McCormick, CEO of Cloudastructure, Inc. Greg Smitherman is their CFO. Lauren O'Brien, Chief Revenue Officer. So great to have you here in studio for this episode of the Big Biz Show. Greg, talk about what 2025 was like for this company.
2025 really has been a breakout year for the company. We just reported partial results from 2025. Our financial earnings and audited things will come out at the end of the quarter. But we did just over $5 million in revenue, which was a 270% increase.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Over the
Yeah, not too shabby there.
you know,
wow, you guys are working hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Q4 specifically came in almost 1.8 million, 300% over the prior Q4. So from a revenue perspective, the company has really had a spectacular year.
Absolutely.
All driven by Lauren's group. But it's also not just the revenue, which is spectacular. We also signed a whole bunch of contracts, over 6.3 million in total contract value.
Wow.
Because recognized revenue is one thing, it's very accounting oriented, but just the contracts we signed in the year, what's it worth? It's bigger than we can recognize in 1 year because we provide service over a 12-month period.
What are some of the factors do you think that are attributing to that growth? Is it getting out to more people, like more companies are finding out about you, more things that you're developing that are fast?
Well, I think our name is getting out there, definitely.
Yeah.
Also, there's a trust factor and word of mouth. We stuck with one vertical, primarily multifamily, and they all talk to one another.
Sure.
And we have over 98% customer retention. People love us.
Yeah.
And the word gets out. And so it does make our sales job a little bit easier. But now it also allows us to get into new verticals because we have that credibility in this one and we can get into other ones. And so we're seeing expansion pretty quickly into some other big verticals.
Lauren, on shows past, we've talked about it's great for Cloudastructure to see the growth that this company is having. But as John Q. Public, should I be concerned? Does it mean that crime is on the rise or we actually are living in a more dangerous society? But I think part of that too, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's people are just more aware these days. And it's like, it's the ounce of prevention versus the pound
That's
of cure.
Right, it's the proactive nature that James was talking about. And more people, the home ownership is on the decline, right? People are living in multifamily complexes, but they want to be safe. And so that's what they're looking for is they want to feel safe in these environments. And then there is crime on the rise as well.
Yeah, well,
unfortunately.
Yes.
Can you guys stay over for another segment, please?
Yeah.
We want to ask about the relationships between you three.
Sure.
Do you fight like cat and dogs, or do you get along together?
Did you see my daughter hopping the fence of the pool?
Stable jerk. It is the Big Biz Show. We appreciate you being along for the ride. Day Trader Trio in the studio. Looking sharp, walking tall, minute alert at all times, as they say in the military. Back here at the bar, I'm not so sure. It is Costa and it is Maribel Godwin. As always, appreciate everybody being along with us here for this episode of the Big Biz Show. We are speaking with Trey Wasser, the CEO and director of Dryden Gold Corporation. Their ticker symbol is DRYGF. And Trey, one of the things I'm really curious about is how many studies or how much goes into, I guess, the scientific appraisal of the ground that you're looking at before, for lack of a better term, you put a shovel in the ground to start mining gold?
Well, actually, the work that is done prior to even putting a drill hole in the ground to start, that's how we explore, is with a small core drill for the most part, pulls out a piece of rock, that's as deep as you want to go.
Okay.
But we do quite a bit of studies. We do geophysical work, similar to the oil business, studying the geophysics. We also do chemical analysis of the ground, taking ground samples, and a lot of structural work on the structural geology to figure out exactly where we want to drill. And then once we start doing that drilling, we actually log every meter of core. So that means that they look at that core, they lay it all out on a table, the whole drill hole, they log it for the different kinds of rock that they're going through and where the mineralization is and what's going on. So that every time we drill, we're kind of tracking it because it can dip and sway and the gold doesn't always stay in one place. It's come up through cracks in the ground during volcanic events and filled in, and so it's pretty tricky.
So Trey, you were talking about that area of Dryden, and I'm reading, it's called it is a stable jurisdiction. Is that the right term? And why is that important in what you're doing?
Well, first of all, Ontario and Quebec, Canada is known for mining. And there's a lot of tax benefits for investors who invest in early exploration or any exploration really in Canada, especially very good benefits. We also get grants from the government up there, not big ones, but give you an idea that they're very supportive. And so it's important from that standpoint that they make it easy there for permitting and exploration. But it's also important when you find the gold that you be in a safe place. What we're seeing going on in the world today in places like Mali in Africa, Barrick Gold, one of the largest gold producers, they had their biggest mine nationalized and taken away from them last year. And a lot of gold taken. So I guess when things get tough out there, that's when gold goes up. And when things get tough, everybody kind of looks and says, "Well, geez, that's our gold. That's not your gold."
Right.
So the jurisdiction is very, very important, and it doesn't necessarily have to be through full nationalization, but another country in Africa, Ghana, they just announced that they're increasing their tariff, royalties and tariffs on the gold production for anyone who's not a Ghana company, from about 3 to 5% to 9 to 12%. So that's the other thing that they can do is just come in and decide we're gonna raise the royalties here, and you don't see that happen in Canada very often.
Trey, are there any parts of the world in your mind that might have some pretty big gold deposits? You may not want to say where they are, but that is I guess undermined, or people aren't really knocking there and they should be? Or is technology and the fact that we're also interconnected, people pretty much know where the gold is?
Well, look, the property we have is a very good example because like I said earlier, the last segment, it sits right on the Trans-Canada Highway.
Yeah.
And we have highway access to 70,000 hectares of property. So you'd ask yourself, why hadn't that been explored? Now, it was mined in the early 1900s, but very small mining kind of done. And the reason there was that it was very heavily forested. You just couldn't, that Canadian bush that you can't even walk through, much less explore. And because there's been a pulp mill in Dryden for over 50 years, our ground in the last half a century has been heavily deforested. So now we not only have highway access, but we have areas that they've clear cut in the last 3 to 10 years that also have great logging roads. So we could drive a Toyota Camry to most of our drill sites. So that doesn't, and with the high-grade gold in this area, we think we're in one of those areas. But just to the north of us, for example, there was a company it was bought out in 2021 by a large major company, Kinross Gold, bought out Great Bear. And they paid $1.6 billion for this little exploration company that had made a discovery up there that's going to be turned into a major mine. And they only put the first drill hole in that in 2019. They drilled for 2 years and sold the company for $1.6 billion. So to give you what kind of possibilities they are for a what a home run looks like. You know, you don't hit singles and doubles in exploring for high grade gold. You hit home runs and grand slams.
Beautiful.
Well, so speaking of that, if people are interested in investing in mining companies, what are the things that they should be looking at and evaluating?
Well, I think, and I get this question asked a lot. I don't know why, but I'll go to some of these gold shows, like I'm going to in Vancouver tomorrow, and people will come up to me and they'll be in a room there with 30 different companies. And, you know, they look like deer in the headlights asking me, how do I tell, you know? And I say, well, look, there's a few things you can look at initially. First of all, the management. Has the management done this before? And our board at Dryden is all made up of people who have successfully built junior mining companies, found the gold, and sold the companies and made shareholders money. The second thing to look at is the shareholder list. You can look at the shareholders who have invested, and you know, in our case, we have a who's who of some of the biggest gold investors, the best known names, some of the largest funds. And most importantly, we have strategic investments to both Alamos Gold, which is a large Canadian gold producer, and Centerra Gold, which is an international company, have both looked at our team and our property and made 10% investments, strategic investments. So that's another thing that's very important.
Trey, we're up against it. Trey Wasser, CEO, Director, Dryden Gold Corp, DRYGF. Trey, always appreciate it. Smarter now about gold than before when we started. Loft 100 Studios, The Big Biz Show, and our affiliates and our hosts are not registered investment advisors or broker-dealers.
Our show hosts make no commitment that the purchase of securities of companies profiled or otherwise mentioned in our programming
are suitable or advisable for any person, or that an investment in such securities will be profitable in general.
Given the nature of the company's profile and the lack of an active trading market for the securities, investing is highly speculative and carries a certain high degree of risk.
We profile selected publicly traded and privately held companies on our program.
Most of these companies that we profile have provided compensation to Loft 100 Studios and its hosts for the profile coverage.
From time to time, we sell shares of the companies profiled in the open market that we receive as compensation for coverage of client companies.
But never sell stocks. If we are speaking about interviewing or covering a public company who has paid compensation.
Specific questions on compensation can be obtained by contacting producer at sullyentgroup.com.
Listeners should verify all claims and do their own due diligence before investing in any securities mentioned on this program.
Investing in securities is speculative and carries a high degree of risk.
We encourage our investors to invest carefully and read the investor information available at the websites on the
Securities and Exchange Commission at sec.gov and or the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, at www.finra.org.
It is the Big Biz Show in over 175 countries. And all the ships at sea, you can hear the Big Biz Show on the American Forces Radio Network. As always, a very big shout out to the brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces. What you have done for us. Day Trader Trio is right there. They do it every single time they're up on stage. And of course, back here at the bar, it is Costa and it is Mary, another edition of None Your Business, as we like to say when our fearless leader Sully is not with us. She is with us, however, Jennifer Ernst, the co-founder and CEO of Tivic Health, and their ticker symbol is TIVC. And you talk about a person and a company that are a rocket that is just flying high at the moment. It's Jennifer Ernst, and it's Tivic Health, and she's back here on the Big Biz Show. Jennifer, how are you? It's always great to see your face.
Thank you. Good to see you today.
Last year, 2025 was, and I can't say it in broad enough terms, a massive year for you and Tivic Health. Yeah. Talk about the growth that you had in less than a year's time, by the way.
Well, this past year, I completely changed the company out from underneath me. I mean, we transformed this company top to bottom. We started out as a consumer health tech company, and at the end of the year, we are now a fully provisioned biopharma company with a late-stage phase 3 drug, headed right into customer meetings with some really significant customer traction and opportunity behind us.
Jennifer, talk about the drug Entolimod and what that means for not only, and we have talked before about governmental and armed forces applications, but just people in general. When you start thinking in terms of being exposed to radiation and just how scary and detrimental that can be, and cancer patients as well.
Exactly. Well, radiation is the standard of care in oncology, right? I mean, any person who is diagnosed with cancer, there's a high likelihood that they will at some point in treatment be receiving radiation. So Entolimod, the drug that we licensed in this year, was originally developed for acute radiation syndrome. So that's the military countermeasure. That's for the disaster situation.
Right.
That's for the time, if a nuclear power plant leaks or, God forbid, we have an attack on U.S. soil, and certainly for protecting our soldiers. All of the drugs, though, that are approved for acute radiation syndrome are also approved for use in cancer therapeutics. Mm-hmm. Now, one thing we haven't talked about, though, is the science. And I was thinking, if you don't mind me diving in a little bit.
Yeah, I'd love that.
We haven't really touched on it.
Listen, if it's going to make us smarter, I'll listen to a science and a CEO person any day of the week. The floor is yours.
Okay. Well, I have to do this like live Zoom, see if I can get the slides up. That moment when you're trying to do that on your meetings.
No worries.
So I know this is a big eye chart, but what is really cool about when I put this one up to talk, particularly for anybody that's thinking, investment and understanding this, there's 40 plus studies on this molecule.
Wow.
Really, really well characterized pathway. So there's a market today. This is a $9.4 billion market today in this area of GCSF drugs. So these are the drugs that are used if a patient that receives radiation therapy and has their neutrophil levels go down, their white blood cell count goes down.
Yeah.
Just this one piece. Now, the thing with these drugs is that they only treat the blood, they only treat the white blood cells, and they're only for use after radiation. So they can mitigate the damage and help get them back up again. But Entolimod hits that pathway plus a whole bunch more.
Wow.
One of the big ones is this what's called the apoptosis, the anti-apoptotic effect. This basically says prevents cell death. So while our cells have TLR5 on them, cancer cells don't. So we get protection of what we call the host. The person who's receiving the treatment is protected. So the drug has been tested for use after radiation exposure, for use before radiation exposure, and then in addition to treating the blood, because it's protecting all of the fast-growing cells in the body, it protects all of them, it also mitigates the damage to the GI tract and helps restore the GI tract. And in fact, this is what it looks like in pictures, just to get a little color on the screen. This area where you see crypt regeneration, these are the functional areas that actually grow your epithelials, that grow the parts of your GI tract that absorb the nutrients. And this is what gets destroyed in head and neck cancer. 60 to 70% of patients will experience destruction of the GI tract, what is this portion of the GI tract. So the science behind this is profound. I mean, there's an enormous number of studies done. And then from a market standpoint, we've taken the drug this year from basically a dormant product, literally cells that were stored over 10 years on ice, brought the cell lines back to life, demonstrated that we can produce them reliably at scale with very high purity, with potency, with the yields that are necessary for production. Right now, we're stepping into the CGMP process, and in order to facilitate production volume, to make sure we have a supply chain that is absolutely secure on U.S. soil, we acquired a small CDMO that we instantly were able to get lots produced through, scaled up. They're taking us through the next step in the CGMP process, and once we put the first batch of CGMP product, the next step is you take some of that, you put it on biostability testing. You take some of that, put it on biostability testing for a year.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you're filling out your BLA, your licensing application for the FDA. After that 1 year testing is done, you file the BLA, and that's really where we are. We're going into that first CGMP batch.
Jennifer Ernst is the co-founder and CEO of Tivic Health, TIVC.
Come back because I have so many more questions.
We do. And Jennifer, we're going to hold you over for the next segment, but if you just heard her explain in the last 4 minutes what her company, Tivic Health Entolimod, their drug, is doing, and you sometimes forget when people, because of cancer, have to use radiation, and then she comes along, Entolimod comes along with Tivic Health, and you're like, oh my God,
incredible.
There is light at the end of the tunnel.
For sure.
More with Jennifer Ernst, Tivic Health, CEO, right after this. Big Biz Show, not Big Bells Show, although I hit double bells. Big Biz Show continues live from the Loft 100 studios. Hope everyone is having a great day. Like we always say, appreciate you being along for this episode. Thanks, as always, to the Day Trader Trio. What do I say about them, Mary?
No lessons, self-taught.
Best in the business. It all rings true back here at the bar. It's Costa and it's Mary Godwin. And we've been talking with Jennifer Ernst, co-founder and CEO of Tivic Health. Their ticker symbol is TIVC. And we started the first segment with her talking about how monumental the growth of Tivic Health has been in less than a year's time in 2025. And I know, Mary, you have a question as well. But Jennifer, as you look down the road now, we're here at 2026. Not that you're going to put the cart before the horse, but I have to assume you have to be extremely excited, cautiously, with where Tivic is going this year.
I am. I mean, it's hard to imagine the work that went into getting to here.
Right.
But we're now positioned for very strongly positioned for this opportunity. In fact, as part of this acquisition we did at the end of the year, we are also bringing in development capabilities. So taking a company that basically hired one person last year in biopharma, then 3 people in biopharma, to now we have a fully featured company of about 50 people, all of whom have the skill set to advance the drug. And what's been great about that for us is, as I look forward first, in less than a week, we are meeting with BARDA, the agency that actually stockpiles and manages the drugs for the U.S., the Strategic National Stockpile. So we are walking in front in 6 days or so.
Wow.
To present all of the science, to present all of the backbone, and to have a discussion about how we move this forward, because they put millions of dollars into the development of Entolimod under the original ownership. Millions of dollars went in. Entolimod had over $140 million invested, of which 36 to 40 million of that came from the U.S. government.
Wow.
So there was a very strong excitement when we brought the drug in, started bringing it back online, started production. It's had a real following in the days before the company that managed it had to close. So we got a great drug. We got a great drug for a low price for the company. We've been able to ramp it up very quickly. And the production facility we bought here in San Antonio has ample production capability for us to be able to service and support the needs of the entire U.S.
Wow, Jennifer. So with the Entolimod, I think what I was hearing, ideally and eventually, it's to be preventative, to get it out, after your meeting with BARDA and after, you prove the effectiveness of it, the efficacy of it, that it could potentially be in the hands of military folks and or radiation patients, cancer patients that are before they even have the radiation to prevent any damage to be done, like you were talking about the esophagus and all the other problems that come along with radiation?
So I won't claim that it'll prevent everything that might happen. Oh, no drug should ever do that. But yes, it is the idea. There's also a second drug that was part of this that we licensed called Entalasta. Again, with the acquisition we made at the end of the year, we're able to accelerate that. Entalasta is designed for chronic use cases where you're going to be using it for, if it were field ready, for example, soldiers in the field. That's the kind of thing you'd want for a readiness or preparedness situation. Entolimod is more for that acute emergency, but when it comes to radiation treatment, a dose, using it for a few doses during the course of therapies, we still have to do the clinical testing, of course, but all of the work done on the acute radiation syndrome area is a very strong support mechanism for being able to move the drug into cancer. And as I said earlier, there's a $9.5 billion market today with names like Amgen, Sanofi, Novartis behind them. That market is under attack from biosimilars. So as we move this forward, we're not thinking we are going to have to take the entire commercial load to get this thing to market. I mean, I'm anticipating that we will work to get the acute radiation syndrome to market. Those kinds of orders, stockpile orders can be 75 million, 100, 150 million a year for a company. These are serious numbers. And then on top of that, that gives us a war chest to be able to fund everything else. The cancer-related, the oncology-related applications, I could easily see us being able to be in a position to start partnering with a large pharma company to be able to take this forward over the hurdle. Sometime, I won't give too much of a forward looking, but it's not too far of a horizon out there.
Jennifer, I don't know if we've ever asked this before. Is this an injectable drug? Is it an oral application? How would a person take it?
Currently, it's an injectable drug.
Okay.
So it's an intramuscular injection. We are looking at some options to make it into a shelf-stable, something that could be carried with you, whether that, it probably wouldn't be a pill, it would probably be, there's a couple other ways we can do it to get through the mucosal lining. And there's a couple of options for that we're looking at. Those are all new formulations, so that's part of what we're doing with the facility we have here in San Antonio. We can do those new formulations, we can do the tests, and put them through the clinical rigor then.
And Jennifer, you mentioned the production on U.S. soil. I mean, you're talking about San Antonio, and that's a big conversation, is supply chain production being in the U.S. Is that a big plus for you? And can you talk about that a little bit?
It is a big plus, particularly with the type of client base we're talking about. I mean, if we are selling into the national government, into the U.S. government, being not only is it good to be on U.S. soil, but being in Texas is so centrally located. So from here, from San Antonio area, I think it's 5 military bases and 2 major airports. So being able to get drug from San Antonio out to any place in the U.S. in an emergency situation, we're really well located here. So that is a strategic value of the site that we acquired as well.
Jennifer Ernst, co-founder, CEO, Tivic Health, ticker symbol TIVC. Jennifer, we have about a minute or so left, and I want to go back to the upcoming meeting with BARDA, and you talked about how much money the United States has, or the government has put into what you're doing with Tivic Health and things like that. And I know you're never going to look the gift horse in the mouth, but from a layman's perspective, I would think that meeting is going to go very, very well for you when you look at what you've done, how fast you've done it, and what you're going to be able to do to help just, unfortunately, a massive amount of people, especially when it comes to cancer and radiation.
I am hopeful for that meeting. We are very optimistic going into it. It's not the meeting where any decisions are made, but it is the meeting that will be opening this up to a very large scientific community within the defense agencies, both across BARDA, and we are anticipating also having people attending from Department of Defense or Department of War to also be refreshing themselves and learning more about Entolimod. As I said, very well characterized drug and very, very close to the finish line in the relative sense.
Cannot wait to get you back on the show after the meeting and hear how it went. Mary and I both are probably thinking the same thing, that it's going to be gangbusters for you, and deservedly so. Jennifer Ernst, co-founder, CEO, Tivic Health, ticker symbol TIVC. Jennifer, cannot wait to get you back on.